That's a fair question to actually raise at this point of time. Nobody is actually projecting if it's someone is in favor or against. The questions that are being raised at this point is to only with the effort to understand the nitty-gritties and the prime objection. And the question that you have raised, I would like my co-panelist, in fact, Sumit Peer, to also take it forward by putting his thoughts on this, that the question that has been put by Mr. Dubey, is that not a fundamental right, Mr. Peer?
Ashwani Bhai has put it beautifully, legally, and I think it was one of the very finest explanations which I ever heard in the most simplistic words, wherein masses could understand what exactly it means. And he has been very articulate with his words, trying to explain us how it is over NCLT, how it's about any other trust. Look, there are few questions I would want to make it more simpler. Look, there's a temple called Siddhi Vinayak temple. According to Waqf Board, the temple belongs to them. What should we do? We should dismantle the Ganesh idols and temple ka pack up kar le, Waqf Board ka handle kar le. Mukesh Ambani's antenna belongs to Waqf Board. So what should Mukesh Ambani do? Leave antenna? Kolkata's, where the assembly of the parliament is, that belongs to Waqf Board. There are so many such things. There's a village and a 1500-old temple in Tamil Nadu which Waqf Board says is mine. By that logic, when you talk of places of worship act, ma'am, there is a ceiling. 50, 60-year-old ceiling you put, uske ab piche baat nahi hogi. But for Waqf Act, there is no ceiling. So if somebody comes कि 600 साल पहले नवाब XYZ ने नवाब XYZ को ये donate किया और भैया निकल लो यहाँ से, even your studio, if Waqf Board wants tomorrow, you can say it doesn't belong to Kartikeya Sharma. Kartikeya Sharma is nobody, he doesn't own anything. You have to vacate your studio. I have to vacate my house, and Ashwini has to vacate his office, and likewise the things will keep on going on. Now, what is the ceiling to this? For a place of worship, like you kept a ceiling for workout, there is no 300 saal, 600 saal. So by that logic, what I was rightly saying, there was a time Mughals were losing most of the India. By that logic, every property belongs to the Waqf, and we are the kirayadars in our own country. So let's then come up with the logic and say, let's start paying Zajia. Kiraya or Zajia, whichever you want, you put it and do it. Why Hindus don't have this rights, ma'am? Why Sikhs don't have this rights? Why no other community has this rights? Where does the Dharm Nirbesh character or the secular character or equal rights character of Bharat go? How can you unilaterally decide on my property and I don't have a right to a legal remedy? I can't even go to High Court or Supreme Court. I can't challenge it. How are such things possible, and what is the time ceiling? Then if I say 1200 years back, this was donated by X to Z. And the best part of it is, then came one more thing. First, it was only Muslims can donate. Then they came with the amendment. Even a non-Muslim can donate. Now, how do you find if there is a person who doesn't have, offsprings, or who is not married, or who doesn't have an inheritance? You can go and claim this is my property. Now, earlier the criteria was he has to be Muslim. Now, a Muslim bhi nahi hoga, chalega. If he's a Christian, he's a Jew. Imagine he's a Jew and he's donating properties to the Waqf Board. Right? Because there's a piece of land lying near to my house, and where I live, there's a lot of land lying in that area. If tomorrow Waqf Board comes and says, this land in mine, that the government of the India has to go to the Waqf tribunal. Suniega, the government of the India has to go to a Waqf tribunal, which will be run by some mullahs and mutawis, and plead, my baap, ye sarkari zameen hame wapas de do. That is what the thing is right now. If I can be very direct and straightforward, this is what is happening here. The government of India has to go to a Waqf tribunal and plead for the land which belongs to you and me. And hasn't this Waqf tribunal siphoned Muslim lands? They have siphoned Muslim lands also. They have siphoned a lot of properties which belong to Muslims. When there's a no inheritance, they claim the land. So how did this Waqf tribunal become the third land bank holder after, Indian government, army? And how does this tribunal become so powerful? Third biggest landholder in country. How is this possible? And where in the Islamic world do they have this something like a Waqf Board? And if there's a Waqf Board somewhere in the Islamic world, do you have something called as a Hindu board or a Christian board or something? And do they have such powers? Show me out of 57 countries where do you find this thing? This was a blatant tool of Muslim appeasement. I won't take my words. I won't mince my words. I don't matter what people think or say. This was a blatant tool of Muslim appeasement, which Congress did. And before leaving the government, they gave them the powers, which gave them sweeping powers. And look at the number of properties they were holding before this law was brought. Ashwani, I can exactly tell you the act and the date. And after this act and date was brought, where they were giving sweeping powers and before Congress left, then the property swelled. Third biggest landholder, they are biggest landholder than Indian Railways. रेलवे तो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा रेलवे नेटवर्क चलाती है सिमरन जी. I don't know what Waqf runs. How can they have more land than Indian Railways? This is mind-boggling. And they were saying, oh, Muslims are backward and all. And if it is about Muslim backwardness, they had powers for last 75 years. Did this model do anything for Muslims? If they had the powers for 75 years, why are Muslims backward today? And what you keep on doing the same thing every time again, how is it going to change the things? Give it another 75 years, फिर बात करते हैं. How do you know what you tried for 70 years has not given any results and you don't want to change it? And you say it will fail because it has not delivered any result for 75 years. Give it another 75 years. Let's see how it performs, how it
Well,
works.
all right, Mr. Peer, Mr. Ayaz and Mr. Dubey, thank you very much for being with us on the broadcast, for also expressing your concerns, your views, your objections, and also your side of thought, fairly justified on the subject, which is in fact the top story at NewsX, and where the Parliament is bracing for a face-off between the centre and the opposition over the contentious Waqf Amendment Bill. Thank you very much to all my panelists who have joined me and invested their time. Now, the controversial bill which has been forced party leaders to issue the whips